indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Attendance. For the purposes of attendance, the clerk will call the roll.
Connor?
Here.
Geiger?
Here.
Gibson?
Here.
Jackson?
Here.
Parker?
Here.
Smelter?
Here.
Here. Approval of written agenda. At this time, any commissioner or member of the public may ask for an item to be removed from the consent agenda and placed under items for consideration.
Madam Chair, I move to divide item B under items for consideration into two questions and to set the order for the items for consideration to be A, B1, Schmidtke, B2, Gramsci, C, and D.
Is there support?
Support.
Okay. Any other consideration for the agenda? Without objection, the agenda is approved as amended. Reports from state and county officers. Does any state or county officer or their representative have a report to share with the board? Limited public comment. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is David Fillion. I'm a resident of Jordan Lake, Lake Odessa, Michigan. Good morning, Commissioner Geiger. You have an issue several years old now without resolution. You have heard the testimony of lake residents and concerned citizens at 2 meetings this year. The residents have asked you to delay spraying copper compounds while fish are spawning. You also have documentation provided by the DNR that it is highly likely you are spraying too close to spawning beds. The permit you hold requires that you do not spray within 20 foot of known or suspected spawning beds. It's incumbent on you to make sure your employees make a concerted effort to look for spawning fish before they spray. Ionia County Drain Commissioner Robert Rose gave good advice when he stated you should put a member of the board on the boat with your employees, making sure they stay in compliance with the permit issued. We are looking for resolution to this year's old issue. We are also looking for good responsible government of this lake board. You are short of our expectation in this regard. It's time to find resolve of this issue by following the law, looking under docks and boats before you spray. We are also looking to remove wasteful spending from the project. Contrary to your belief, the board doesn't just exist to spend the money. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, does any commissioner have any correspondence to share with the board? All right, consent items.
Madam Chair, I would motion to approve for the approval of May 14th, 2019 Board of Commissioner meeting minutes and approval of the May 21st, 2019 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes.
Second.
Moved by Connor, second by Parker, to approve the items listed under the consent agenda. Discussion is not allowed and a roll call vote is required. The clerk will call the roll.
Connor?
Yes.
Geiger?
Yes.
Gibson?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Smelter?
Yes.
Wing?
Yes, the consent agenda is approved. Presentations, we have none today. Public hearings, we have none today. Items for consideration.
Madam Chair, I move for approval of the item A, approval of claims in the amount of $81,704.90.
Second.
Motion by Gibson, supported by Smelker for the approval of claims in the amount of $81,704.90. The clerk will call the roll. Or is there any discussion? I'm sorry. The clerk will call the roll.
Geiger,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Smelker,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Wing.
Yes. The item is approved.
Skip that.
No, split it into.
Okay. Item B, approval to appoint Gerald Smideke to serve on the Berry County Commission on Aging Board for a 3-year term that begins on 1/1/19, expires on 12/31/21.
Second.
Moved by Gibson, second by Connor, for the approval to appoint Gerald Schmedeke to serve on the Berry County Commission on Aging Board for a 3-year term that began on January 1st, 2019 and expires on December 31st, 2021. Is there discussion?
Yes,
Dan?
I'd like to amend that motion, if I can, to move the term for the remainder of a 3-year term that began January 1st, 17, expires on December 31st of 19.
Is there support?
Where?
He just made a motion to amend the appointment to the partial term instead of a full 3-year term.
And who are you gonna put on for the partial term?
His motion was to appoint Gerald Schmedeke for the partial term instead of Kathy Ramsey.
Second.
So, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Inquiry. This is just an amendment?
He moved to amend that
Okay.
appointment.
All right.
And it was seconded, so is there discussion on the amendment? So do you have that? I do. Okay. Okay. Last chance for discussion. All those in favor of amending the appointment for Gerald Schmedeke to the, for the remainder of a 3-year term that began on 1/1/17 and expires on December 31st, 19, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay?
Nay.
The item is approved, or the
I need to,
amendment is approved.
I know Connor and Gibson.
So now, for the approval to appoint Gerald Schmedeke to serve on the Berry County Commission on a board for a 3-year term that, or for a partial, for the remainder of a 3-year term, excuse me, on 1/1/17 and expires on 12/31/19. All those in favor, please say aye.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
further discussion?
Sure.
I see 2 issues here. Yeah, there are some questions about who we're appointing, but I think we need to look at some of the ways this board has failed in recruitment. Part of it is my fault. I'll take blame for it. I led this board down a path of revamping our appointments process. When we had a leadership change, we kind of went off the gas. But this county has 10,000 seniors. And we can't get any more applicants after re-advertising. I think our strategy of recruitment is flawed, and we need to go back and look at some different options. I started this process, and in the coming weeks, I'm going to come back to the board with a proposal on how we could change our investment strategy. Instead of spending money in re-advertising, we might look at some targeted Facebook advertisements. So that's the crux of this matter. That's what really brings us here today. I don't like appointing people because there's nobody else. Choosing between one person or no person isn't a choice at all. To make good decisions, we need choices. So, yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
Any other discussion?
I agree with that, but the choices are that we all have a choice here to ask somebody to run. All the people that knew that they were on the board knows that there were openings. They had a choice to ask people to run. I think that's kind of multiplies that possibility of choices. And I would welcome anything that would do a better job.
Can I ask, when is this one-year term? When does it start, when does it end?
It's the remainder of a term that started on January 1st of 17 and it ends at the end of December this year. So now it's a 6-month term. Commissioner Connor.
Commissioner Parker made a good point, and I know that when I go to my township meetings, I always have either lists or I announce that there are boards that need to be filled. So, I mean, I try to get the word out as much as possible because I realize there are a lot of good people out there that sometimes they don't even know that there are positions even available.
Yeah, I think we're all doing exactly what we need to do, but this is a large county, and we need to amplify our voice when it comes to talking about opportunities to serve. The Commission on Aging is one of our most popular boards.
Commissioner Gibson.
In our previous meetings, I had asked Vivian Connor if they'd had trouble making a quorum. She said they didn't. I'd since talked to the chair of the COA, and they've had some discussion about reducing the size of their board, which some of the boards have already reduced. Some of the boards I sat on have reduced, and that might be a consideration.
Smoker.
I agree with Ben and both. And we still should do this, but I don't think today is the day that it should be changed. We should move forward with this.
Any other discussion?
Well, if who brings up a point, if they're trying to change the size of the board, would the COA board be opposed to having a vacant seat?
You're not asking me, are you?
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote for the approval to appoint Gerald Schmedeke to serve on the Berry County Commission on Aging for the remainder of a 3-year term that expires on December 31st, 2019. Roll call, please.
Gibson,
No.
Jackson,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Smoker,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Geiger,
No.
Wing.
No.
And to appoint
Oh, I'm sorry, that item was approved.
Moving on. A move to appoint Catherine Gramsey to serve on the Berry County Commission on Aging Board for the remainder of a 3-year
Yeah, read that, sorry.
3-year term that began on 1/1/17 and expires on 12/31/19.
There's-
Need to change that.
We need to amend it, but we have to have it supported first.
Support?
It's been moved by Gibson, support by Geiger to approve to appoint Catherine Gramsey to serve on the Berry County Commission on Aging Board for the remainder of a 3-year term that began on January 1st, 2017 and expires on December 31st, 2019.
Madam Chair, I move to amend the main motion to change the... No, never mind, I take it back.
Madam Chair, I would motion to change the term for Catherine, for this appointment to a term that began on 1/1/19 and expires on 12/31/21.
Second.
Moved by Connor, second by Parker to amend the item to read approval to appoint Catherine Gramsey to serve on the Berry County Commission on Aging Board for the remainder of for a 3-year term that began on January 1st, 2019 and expires on December 31st, 2021. Discussion. Hearing none. We'll vote on the amendment. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The amendment is approved. Now we'll vote on the item. So the motion was made by Connor, supported by Parker, for the approval of Gramsey to serve on the Berry County Commission on Aging Board for a 3-year term that began on January 1, 2019 and expires on December 31st, 2021. A roll call vote, please.
Jackson,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Smelker,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Geiger,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Wing.
Yes, the item is approved.
Item C, approval to appoint Nellie Shepherd to serve on the Berry County Commission on Aging Board for a 3-year term that begins on 1/1/19, expires on 12/31/21.
Second.
Moved by Gibson, second by Parker. For the approval to appoint Nellie Shepherd to serve on the Berry County Commission on Aging Board for a 3-year term that began on January 1st, 2019 and expires on December 31st, 2021. Is there discussion? Seeing none, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Parker,
Yes.
Smelker,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Geiger,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Wing.
Yes, the item is approved.
Item D, approve to allow bids to be received from qualified vendors to replace the parking lot at the historical Berry County Courthouse.
Second?
Moved by Gibson, supported by Smelker for the approval to allow bids to be received from qualified vendors to replace the parking lot at historic Berry County Courthouse. Discussion. Yes.
Did we receive anything on the roof over the entrance and changing
We did, yes, we did receive some information, but it's not complete at this time. We received some update on the stairs and an awning over the stairs, but it did not, they were not able to put the design together that includes an awning over the ramp itself, or as well, along with then the change to the parking lot striping, if you may, to allow for a defined public entrance out of the parking lot. So at this point, our recommendation would be to either postpone it to another meeting or refer it back to the committee of the whole, and once we have that information, we'll bring it back.
any length of time you got? The next committee of the whole be all right?
If that would be, if you wanted to revert it back to the committee of the whole, then that would just put it on a cycle that we
Right.
would, when we have it, we would get it back in front of them.
Madam Chair, I move to refer the question back to the committee of the whole.
Support.
Moved by Geiger, support by Jackson to refer this back to the committee of the whole. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Item is referred back to committee. Unfinished business. We have none. New business. We have none. County Administrator's Report.
I'm all set, thank you.
Chairperson's Report. Last week, we had a meeting at Commission on Aging, or, yeah, we had a meeting at Community Action Agency, and I'm excited to report that the new building, here, the old Ponderosa building, is right on schedule. They should be taking possession of the renovated building on June 1st, so probably not till the 3rd. And they are not over budget. I think they're well within a contingency that was made when they found out it needed roof repairs. But they are very excited to be able to start offering services there in June. I also got an email the other day. They have graduated their first two, or celebrated their first two GEDs through the GED program that they have for the community. They also have 10 other participants enrolled, and so they're looking for future certificates coming through that program. So it's something well needed for our community. They have other projects that are on the horizon. They have had some delays with some of their Kalamazoo new business, but they're looking for those to be rectified in the near future. So it's good to see Community Action Agency making some headway to better serve our community. Other than that, we'll start meeting season all over next week. And I think that's all I have. Commissioner Connor.
Tell me what the letters that you spit out were.
The Community Action Agency, CAA, Community Action Agency.
Okay. I wasn't sure what they stood for.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Connor.
Oh boy, I got lots of acronyms here. So, at the airport board, we approved manager to send out new leases for the people that rent by 30 days, and he is continuing to get those leases back and signed. He's also looking at a couple of new individuals to lease the big hangars. So, other than that, it was kind of a short meeting. At the Commission on Aging, they had some excitement while they were repairing the roof unit for, they had a fire alarm, and it was triggered by the repairs. There wasn't actually an alarm, it was electrical, but it proved for an exciting afternoon. So, and also Carla Fales last week presented her multi-year plan for Carabel Services. And then at the Gun Lake Improvement Board, we have approved an RFP to put out for our consultant for the next 2 years, and we also approved the final contract that we will enter into with the Gun Lake Protective Association regarding the new boat cleaning stations that are going to be installed, one at Allegan County Park and two at the Yankee Springs State Park. There's been some delay on getting them into the Yankee Springs Park because they need to re-asphalt and pour some special asphalt just for those machines. But with all the rain, they haven't been able to get that done. So that is all I have. Sorry.
There's time for limited public comment at the end of the meeting. You typically entertain questions.
I have a question for
Yeah.
Vivian, if I could. What happened with the bubblers? They're allowing that now, or?
That's Orangeville Township. Yes, that's a ordinance that they're going to, that they approved, that ordinance, I think, last month, after it came back from the county and their attorney. So that was approved.
Oh, okay.
And that's a wintertime thing,
Yeah.
so.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, outside of the township meetings, on the 21st was the Animal Shelter Advisory Board meeting. They're continuing to work on fundraising projects to get another van so they can more expeditiously move pets around, especially they just received another TNR grant for $10,000 from the Bissell Group, I believe. So they'll have a big event coming up in July. I'll get more information to you as we get a little closer to that. The Health Department meeting last Thursday, they talked extensively about blue zones and how that could impact Berry County. If you're familiar with blue zones, they've studied why people live longer in other parts of the country, and they've initiated, I forget what the number was, been close to probably
46, I think.
46 communities across the country have them. There has not been one failed yet, and they've got marketable reductions in health insurance rates and premiums as they institute this. The downside is it's very expensive. that, they're talking $800,000 plus just for the startup phase of it, and considerably more going forward, so. But there is considerable interest in the county. Berry County's been pegged as a area that fits with what blue zones have been effective and efficient at doing. So there's continuing dialogue, and Janine Dahlman at Pennock Spectrum did a great presentation on that. So I have a meeting with, continuing to work with Delton. There's a DDA that they're working on putting together, so we've got a meeting on that tonight. And outside of that, I'm sure Vivian's getting the same phone calls that with the rain, the water just continues to go. So there's, most of the phone calls and emails are about the water, so thank you.
Commissioner Gibson.
Yes. At my LDFA meeting at the City Hall, they got a Brownfield Assessment Grant award for the Royal Coach property for $63,000. At the Transit Board meeting, Berry County Transit has been pre-awarded 4 new buses to be here by the end of the year, no cost to the residents. The Transit also applied for a grant from Carewell Services for $12,500 each year for a 3-year period for seniors that cannot afford to pay. These are for non-emergency trips. The new addition on the Transit is going well. They're on schedule. And at my mental health board meeting, they received a grant for $17,500 from United Way for substance abuse. Also, I'd like to mention that Don Cook, the Walmart, the guy in charge of Walmart down there, the director, when he found out that Save-A-Lot was closing, he went out there and offered all those people a job at his store. I thought that was a real good thing. So that's all I have.
Commissioner Parker.
You celebrate anything big this weekend?
Yeah, we had our 50th anniversary party Saturday, and John and Heather were there. She can verify we really have been married for 50 years. And then Linda really did put up with me for that long. Health Department, the only other thing to add, I think Colette, our Director Health Officer, will be coming here and speaking and telling us what's going on at the Health Department. I think she's made an appointment, set it up. Okay, good. And other than that, not really much else I didn't have any other meetings, so I'm good.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Smoker.
Attended the airport meeting with Vivian, and she's already reported on that. On our ad hoc committee for the Courts and Law Building, we met with the regional director of the MIDC, and she looked things over to make sure that we needed to build a new space for our indigent defense, and things went well there. We have slowed down a little bit on that ad hoc committee due to a death in the family for our engineer and design fellow. And 911 meeting is today, and I attended the parade on Memorial Day, and Hastings had a good turnout. All I got.
Commissioner Geiger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On Friday, I was, along with some state lawmakers, I was a panelist at the Regional Roundtable on Mental Health, representing county government. The reason I was asked is because we do a lot of things right here in Berry County, and organizations across Michigan are really looking at us as a model for how we deliver service and how we work together. So that was an honor. Woodland Labor Day. Woodland had its Memorial Day observance on Monday. Judge Doherty was our guest speaker, and it was a good reminder of how much Berry County contributed in the Civil War. If you haven't read the history of how much, in terms of enlistment, Berry County did, it is pretty incredible. So Judge Doherty did a great job, and as always, Woodland had a pretty good ceremony. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Is there, at this time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes. No public comment. Is there any other business to come before the board? There being no further business and without objection, the board will now adjourn.